Hello, good morning. Day 9 of my movement and mindfulness sessions here with you on Facebook Live. And today I thought we'd talk about a little bit more this idea of beginner's mindset. Over the past week or so, I've been here kind of really trying to give you a bit of consistency in terms of, just being here every day for you to implement a few practices, even if it's just a bit of breathing, a bit of taking a bit of time to do some movement, or just let your thoughts settle and have a little holiday from all the distractions and overthinking that we tend to do. But today I thought a little bit more we'd look at actually showing up and being willing to maybe not be as good at something, or um, dare I say it, fail at something, because that's when we're actually learning, is when we're making mistakes and doing things the wrong way. Then we can kind of correct course and start to do things the way that we maybe would like to do them, rather than just feeling like we're being carried down this path of going in the wrong direction. And what this can look like is, again, having a practice that you are doing every single day, whether it's just taking 5 or 10 minutes to do a bit of breathing or a bit of meditation, or maybe it looks like something a little bit bigger, or something a little bit more ambitious for you. Um, but sometimes it's not going to look so beautiful and clean cut. So it's just giving ourselves this space to allow for that to happen. I'm really thinking of my piano lessons that I'm taking at the moment, and how I just had this really big idea in my head that I was quite good because I can read music, I can play classical pieces, but it's more than that. And music is about more than that. And I just feel like, life is the same way. We think we're maybe really good at something, but potentially we're missing a bigger picture around that. So, something to think about for you. But for now, we're going to go ahead and get started by standing. So, find a little place where you can get comfortable. I'm going to stand way back here. Hopefully you can still see me and hear me okay. And I just want you to take a moment to get comfortable in this standing position. So maybe you want to just allow your toes to spread out, really get your feet so that you're grounded into the floor. Maybe standing up a little bit more into your legs so that you're growing nice and tall. Shoulders can just rest on top of everything else, and your head can be right on top of your body. And then just allow your eyes to close for a moment. And I want you to imagine what it would be like to just be a skeleton, free from all your muscles, free from all your organs, free from everything that gives you the extra bit of weight attached to your skeleton. If you're made of just this light, porous bone, what would it feel like to stand here? You could imagine that you were suspended from the ceiling, so maybe there wasn't even much weight into your feet. And just experiencing how that would feel. No weight of gravity really holding you down too much. You just have a light, buoyant, airy feeling standing here in space. So taking a few breaths. And if you were to imagine that there was a little breeze that was coming, just gently moving you back and forth in space, what would it be like just to allow this light, porous, weightless skeleton of yours to be moved back and forth? almost as if you were being moved by your own breath. And then that wind, maybe that wind would shift so that you were just gently being moved side to side. Light, weightless skeleton suspended from the ceiling, maybe by an elastic band, so that you could have a little bounce, a little bit of more of that buoyancy. Just breathing, being breathed in this space, and then maybe taking that around into a little circle around your ankles, going in one direction. Just feeling again your light porous bones. Changing that circle around into the other direction. And just letting all your bones just move how they need to move in this particular direction. And then just come to stillness again. Notice where you end up, how it feels in your body, just to imagine that there was nothing weighing you down or making you feel any sense of heaviness. And then just start to open your eyes and really start to be aware of where your feet are now underneath you. So you've done a bit of movement around your feet. We're going to think about really grounding down, keeping that sense of lightness and that sense of buoyancy. Just see if you can start to lift up onto your very balls of your feet. So up onto the toes, getting really light and airy, and then slowly lowering back down. Going to bend your knees. And then straighten out the legs and lift up onto the toes again. Nice big deep breath in, and then exhaling to bend the knees. Make sure when you bend that your knees are going straight over the first and second toes, and then coming up again. This time we're going to keep the knees bent. You're going to lift up through the heels. See what that's like for you. Keep that lightness, keep that buoyancy as you straighten the legs, keeping the heels lifted. And then slowly lower that down. We'll practice that one again. Lost my balance there. Lifting up through the heels. So really think about your toes supporting you here. Balls of your feet really spread and ground down. We'll do that one more time. Bending through the knees, lifting up through the heels, straightening out the legs, and then lowering the heels down. We're going to reverse that, but this time we're going to just connect the heels together. So you're going to come into a little bit of external rotation through the legs. This time I want you to imagine that you have a little tiny ball that you're holding between your heels, and you aren't going to let that ball drop. So your heels are going to stay pretty much connected. Just see if that gives you a little bit more ability to keep up here for a bit longer, and then bend the knees with your heels lifted. Lower the heels and then straighten the legs. We'll do that 2 more times, imagining that you're not going to drop that little ball. And then lower and then straighten one last time. And then straighten. Really nice. Come back to your parallel position with your feet. So right underneath you with those feet now. And you're just going to start to roll over. So you're coming onto the inner edge of the sole of the foot and the outer edge of the sole of the other foot. So there's not much, it's not a really big movement, but you're just letting the weight kind of shift through the whole sole of the foot so that you're getting this little movement, this little tipping of the foot from side to side, so that you can feel the outside and the inside edge of your feet. And what we're really allowing to happen is for that ankle joint just to have this kind of saddle on a horse motion. You think of how a horse can move freely, quite freely underneath the saddle. That's kind of what your two bones that are at the bottom of your leg do around your foot as it moves. And this just allows for a lot of stability when you're walking on uneven surfaces. So you're going to take that over to the right. As you shift over now, just let your body follow. So you come into this little bit of rotation. And then come back through the center and over to the other side. So you're moving with the shifting of your weight through your feet, allowing that to just translate through the entire body. You're getting the spiraling through the legs, which translates up into the pelvis, up into your torso. And just kind of allowing that light skeleton feeling to come and move your bones freely around your feet. We'll just do that a couple more times. And then coming back to center, and you're going to start to bring your feet a little bit closer together so that they're pretty much right underneath you. And you could start to lift your right heel up and really think of your left foot being right underneath your body now. So that if you thought about it, you could just really think of that left leg starting somewhere in the middle of your body, rooting and grounding down, and your right leg could just float up, especially if it's made of that hollow light bone. It'd be quite easy just to let that foot lift away from the floor and find this sense of balance onto your left foot. You might get a little bit of that shifting of weight from the outside and the inside edge. That's perfectly okay. But just notice what it's like to be grounded through one foot, balancing through that one leg. And then place your right foot down. Start to put that right foot right underneath you so you can lift up through your left foot and start to balance onto your right leg, your right foot, grounding down in the very center of your body, spreading through that foot and giving you this balance. Really nice. We'll do that one more time on each side. Really seeing it, as you go, if your sense of balance is starting to improve. Remember, it's these things that we practice that we get good at. So just thinking just noticing for yourself, well, how does this little movement improve the more that I am practicing it? Good. And then let that foot come down. Okay. I'm going to come down onto the mat. So come to whatever space that you're working in, and we're just going to do a little roll down. So whatever feels comfortable for you, bending the knees and just walking the hands out, and then coming down to lie onto your back. And we're just going to hug both knees in towards the chest to begin with. Kind of just thinking about letting the back of the body spread onto the mat, taking hold of the knees, and then just starting to circle them around. So you can keep the feet connected. The lower leg isn't really doing much of anything here. We're just allowing for the hip joints to swivel around. Get some lovely bit of lubrication this morning. Taken back around the other way. See if you can really begin to stir with your hands so that your legs aren't having to do much of anything here. They can just be taken around, big femur bone, light in the hip joint, being stirred and directed by your hands. And then coming to the center, you're going to let let the left foot drop down. Keep that right leg just tucked in for a moment, maybe sliding your hands into the back of that knee just to see how close you can hug that leg, and then begin to straighten it out. So you send your heel out, straighten the leg, and then bend it back in. Just doing that a few times. Letting the back of the body really be spread into the floor as you're bending and straightening your leg. And then we're going to keep the leg in, give it another little squeeze. And I want you to just begin to straighten that leg again. Nice big deep breath here. If your leg doesn't fully straighten, that's okay, but we're going to exhale and just allow that leg to come very slowly all the way down to the floor. So from here, just have a little shake out of that right leg as it's out long beneath you. Just giving it kind of feeling like you can loosen it off right up at this top bone. And then you're just going to begin to turn that foot out to the side. Begin to bend the knee here so that you're starting to bring that heel right in towards your bum. And then return that foot back to the floor, knee back to upright. Just going to do that a few times, straightening out the legs. Straightening out your right leg, turning that right foot out to the side, bending through the right knee, and bringing that home. Let's do that one more time in that direction. Getting this little bit of rotation, just like we did in standing. That rotation through the leg. And then we'll reverse it. So you're tipping out to the side, right onto the edge of that foot, then straightening the leg, bringing it to center, and then drawing it back in. 2 more times like that. Really I'm putting my hands onto my pelvis so that I'm really aware that my left side isn't trying to come along for the ride, and that I'm not fully just dropping my hip out as my leg moves. So just notice that for yourself. And then we'll do the other side. So before we do that, just straightening out both legs. Just noticing how the 2 sides are feeling compared to each other. What it's like just being on your back here after doing a bit of standing work. And we'll hug that left knee and give it a nice little squeeze. Take hold of the back of the leg and then releasing it. Just straighten it out at a little diagonal. Just inviting length through the back of the hamstrings. And my knee just waking up, having a little popping noise. And then hug it right in again. Give it a good old squeeze. Straighten it out and slowly with your exhalation, just let that leg drop. Give it a little shake out on this side. And then you're going to let the foot drop out to the left side now. Slowly bring it in towards your bum. Make sure it's not tracking out to this side too much. Let the knee and the foot return back to straight, and then straightening out the leg again. Turning it out to the left side, drawing it in. Returning the foot and the knee back. We'll do that one more time in this direction, and then we'll reverse it. So now you're letting that left knee fall out to the side, straightening out the leg, turning it back to the neutral position, and bringing it in 2 more times. Last time, breathing as you move. Beautiful. And then just straightening out both legs again. Give them a nice little shake. And again, just kind of notice how your back of your body is making contact with the mat here. I quite like to just close my eyes and just feel how the back of the head is making contact. So if we were to just think back into when we were standing and made of that light skeleton, a weightless bone, you could just imagine the same thing here. As you're lying onto the ground, what would it be like to just be made of light, weightless material, so that just barely making an indentation into the ground. Notice which parts of you are touching the floor, the mat, which parts of you do not. For me, I notice that my lower back is definitely not touching. Maybe some of my lower ribs are even coming away. Notice I'm heavy through my shoulders and a little bit more heavy through the back of my head and my hands. Just bring that awareness for yourself and just checking in with how everything's feeling today. And again, just checking in with your own expectations of how you're expecting the day to go, how you're expecting your, what you're expecting to get done, and how kind of you could just leave yourself a little bit of space, a little bit of grace to potentially just do what you can do and not beat yourself up too much. So then you're going to roll over, come on up to your seated position. Get whatever you need to make yourself comfortable and seated. All right, nice to see you here. And then just making your legs comfortable, making yourself comfortable. Hey, Julia. And just beginning to close your eyes so that we can really start to tune into these thoughts that are constantly in our heads, but maybe just being a little bit more aware of how we are reacting to the thoughts. And we want to think a little bit more about how we could, rather than react to the thoughts, become more responsive so that we're not just becoming angry when we notice a certain thought coming up. Give yourself a little bit of potentially room for just accepting the thought and noticing it first before immediately reacting with anger. So the way to start to do this is to focus more on the breath and let the thoughts just come as they will. See if you can just let them go. You can let them be for a moment, but then just let them go. So that's what our 5 minutes of silence, the practice will be there. We'll just be noticing what thoughts come up, letting them stay for, just a moment and then letting them go so that you're not giving them your full awareness and your full attention. To give yourself a little chance to settle in, we'll start with our body scan. So just noticing the crown of the head, any sensations there. Scanning on down through the front of the face, just allowing all the muscles of the face to relax. All the muscles through the sides of the head and the back of the skull to just switch off so that your feeling of weightlessness and lightness can also be present here. Switching off the muscles around the front of the neck, the back of the neck, allowing everything to just relax. Shoulders, upper arms, elbows, forearms, hands, the chest, the upper back, mid-back, abdomen, lower back, and the belly. Just let everything settle in and relax. Just being aware of any sensations, any pains or heaviness, noticing them, but then just focusing your attention on farther down through the legs, thighs, the knees, the lower legs, and the feet. And then bringing that awareness back onto the breath, breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. It's helpful for you counting the breath, starting it from 1, going all the way up to 10, and then coming back to 1 again. as you're counting, just notice that you probably will get distracted by a thought. But see if more and more you can start to just not give that thought attention and bring your awareness instead back to your breath, back to your counting. And just knowing that it's okay to let your thoughts come. That's a natural thing that will happen. They will arise, but that you don't have to give them your attention. You can bring instead your thoughts back to your breath. So just starting this 5 minute silent practice now. Starting to bring your awareness back into the space around you, leaving your eyes closed for now, just feeling any textures of your fingers, moving your wrists. And just checking in, noticing how that went for you. So what was it like to keep bringing your awareness back to the breath? Were you able to do it, or was it something that just didn't feel possible for you today? And that's okay too. It's all about this idea of practicing and getting better at doing those things that are really worth doing and practicing. You can just open your eyes and enjoy the rest of your day. If you enjoyed kind of learning about that beginner's mindset, we will be talking and looking and digging deeper into it in my 10-week course that I'm currently building at the moment, which I'm really excited to share with you at the end of the month. Talking lots about beginner's mindset and building upon practices that will build into these bigger changes and habits so that you can start shaping your life into, something that you really look forward to living each and every day. And with that, I'm off, but I will see you here again tomorrow at 7:30. I look forward to it. Thank you. Bye.